All right, Conor, so listen, the last time we were here together, I was on that side of the table, you were on this side of the table, so it's your turn to talk today.
Yeah.
So tell me this, for anybody who doesn't know you, let's just get a little bit of the background. Now, I realised when we were kind of having our conversation, probably I've known you for a little bit longer than what I originally thought, because like you had a background in Thai boxing, and our kind of roads crossed at one stage back then. So go back a few years and tell us, how did you get to this kind of stage where you're at now?
Okay. How far do we want to go out? In the womb? Yeah, I suppose, look, I if you're talking about Thai boxing, right, I entered Thai boxing at around 16. I went to secondary school that was a rugby playing school in Cork, right? And I was mad into rugby as a young fella. And I was kind of a good player on my team. And then I went into this school and I realized, oh, these are all the other good players of all the other teams, and they're all together and they're better than me, right? But at that stage I was kind of like, instead of like trying to work hard and like graft my way through and stick to it and kind of make the rugby team, I was like, maybe I'm good at other sports, which I wasn't. So I kind of stumbled across Thai boxing because my Thai boxing coach went to my school.
All right.
So, and he's like multiple champion, European champion, had loads of fights in Thailand, all over Europe, very, very well respected in the Thai boxing community. We're one of the biggest promoters in Ireland now at this stage. But he came to our school, and it was transition year, I think. At the beginning of transition year, we were trying different things in PE, and he came in to give a class. And I was like, this is fucking class. So I was like, this is unreal. I had done taekwondo as a kid, as so many people do, you know. So I knew to throw a punch or whatever, or throw a kick and whatnot. And so I kind of said, yeah, I'd love to go up now and give a go at one of their classes. Like, only took me 6 months to actually give up, you know, to get the kind of, to not only like think about it, but follow through on it. And then I entered the doors of Siam Warriors Thai Boxing Club on the north side of Cork City. And that was kind of it, really. I was just fucking hooked immediately. It was like, drop everything. Girls don't exist. School doesn't exist. Rugby doesn't exist. This is the only thing now. And I just kind of plummeted headfirst into that. And like from the first class, I was wrecked tired now, destroyed tired, could barely hold my arms up, like, you know, because I just, you know, Thai boxing and combat sports, they're difficult at the beginning, especially because you have lots of muscles that you've probably never used in that way before. So I, you know, waking up the next day just in bits, like just barely fucking sitting in the seat in school, like, you know. And I just, from that moment, I was like, I want to be Irish champion. That's all I saw, was like, right, I just want to be Irish champion. And then we think about all the other titles we want to go for after that. But that's what I had in my head. And so I kind of went to it. And then I won my first fight, right? And I was like, oh, this is great. I'm actually good at this and I'm able to make it. Then I lost my second fight and I was like, oh God, this is fucking harder than I thought. Then I lost my third fight. I got stopped in the second round of the second fight. And I was like, oh, fuck. This is probably not for me. And then I was like, okay, look, we're not going to fucking do what we did with rugby and just as soon as it gets hard and people are getting picked before you or whatever, we're going to quit. I was like, let's just think about how we're actually going about this. And I took a year out because of Thai boxing, because I had to repeat my leaving cert. I got my leaving cert and I didn't get the points for what I needed, so I repeated my leaving cert, right? It was difficult in itself at fucking 19 years of age to kind of, you know, reapply yourself to your exams. But I did that and I took a full year off of Thai boxing, really. I was running and stuff just to keep my fitness up, but I didn't even enter the gym. And I remember going to a show and I saw all the lads going to a Thai boxing fight night. And I saw all the lads hopping in and fighting, and, you know, it was a great night for the gym because loads of the lads had won and all this kind of stuff. And I felt like such an outsider. Yeah. Because I was standing there and I was like, this could be me. And I was like, right, let's just fucking give it another go then. And I went back in and I swear to fucking God, I don't know what it was. Like a fire was lit under my ass, and I just trained and applied myself and just thought about every which way I could get a better you know, I could do better. So my nutrition, I was like, right, how do we look at my nutrition? I started taking like, you know, I started taking creatine. I started taking on kind of protein afterwards and all these things to help me recover. I won 11 fights on the trot.
Wow.
And then I had my Irish title fight with Paddy Douglas. You know Paddy?
Yeah.
I had him on the podcast.
Okay.
Great episode.
Yeah.
And like, so, and me and him have both gone such kind of similar ways in ways. He's in the kind of men's circle space and stuff like that. It's brilliant to see. But I fought him anyway, and this is a well documented thing. He knocked me out in the last round of our fight, like, you know, and that just fucking like swept the fucking rug from underneath my feet of my entire life, because I built all my life on this idea that I'm the Thai boxing guy, and I this is what I do, and this is where I'm most valuable is in this sphere. And that just kind of plummeted me. I had always struggled with my mental health, to be honest with you. It was very difficult for me to regulate my head. I was manic sometimes, to be honest. I was like, I could be in great form, top of the fucking world, like center of the party, cracking jokes, to the other side of it where you're like, I just don't want to fucking get out of bed. And then, and that was like exacerbated and just poured petrol on the fire of that when I lost that fight, because I got into the point where I was like, I've invested so much in this, and not even just invested time and effort, but as I've invested so much of who I am.
Sounds like it had sort of become part of your identity here. Like
100%.
You were going to be this Irish champ, and now the whole thing's crumbling in front of you.
Yeah, that was exactly what happened. And I was like, okay, well, like, what do we do now? And I just tried to find my way through, and you know, those kind of period of time in your 20s, you're just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, you know,
I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
I'm out of, yeah, exactly, absolutely. And like, I you know, got out of college, started working, and I was earning money for the first time in my life, and I didn't really have any goals outside of, you know, chasing women and drinking and doing all the stuff, you know, that stuff. So I had no way of kind of like, I had no way of focusing on something and being dedicated to something, which had been my life for the 6 years previous. And then, yeah, I stumbled across running. Really was kind of like it was like a last ditch effort. I was so sick, man, of just fucking living, actually, to be honest. I just didn't even want to wake up anymore. And I just didn't feel like there was just any point. And, you know, you convince yourself that, like, people will be better off without you as well, like, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And you just be like, you know, and I thought about taking my own life, and I thought about all of those things. It came into my mind so many times. And I just decided, you know what, I think I want to be an athlete again. And I don't feel like getting punched in the head anymore. So I'll just go. I did a lot of running during it, and I was always like the first back to the gym. You know, you all head out in the gym and fucking run back as fast as you can. I was always first back, so I was like, "Fuck it, I'll just go running now, and that'll be good." So I entered the Cork City Marathon in January, and it was in the June. It was way too short. I you know, for me to get it, you know, without no idea how to train for running or whatever, but I did it, and that's how I kind of started my foray into running. And ultra running was another thing where it's like just putting these things on top, you know, these goals out there, no real kind of idea why, and like just searching, you know, searching for that thing to pull me back, you know.
That's brilliant. And tell us this, right? I want to go back a little bit, because just in terms of college, in terms of work life, and then in terms of kind of mental health. Now, I know that stuff's kind of in the past there, but what was that kind of journey like? What did you do in college? What was your first few years in work like? Because it sounded like whatever you were doing, you weren't happy with it. So talk to us about that for a second.
Yeah, so I went back to repeat my leaving cert to become an occupational therapist, right? So it's funny, right? It was 505 points, right, to get occupational therapy, and I got it. Yeah, I got 505, the exact fucking
not just handsome, clever man as well.
Right, you know, and fucking went up by 10 points.
Oh,
you know, so went up by 10 points, and I ended up getting my second choice, which was law, and I ended up starting law. Then I was like, you know what? It was so weird. The first time round, I got 435 the first time round, and I got food science, which I would have loved. I just had this in my mind that I wanted to actually be a doctor. I didn't want to be an occupational therapist, but I had spent about 5.5 years of my school life being the class clown and just taking the piss and just acting the maggot. And like for my junior and leaving cert, was told not to come back 4 weeks before the exam. So I didn't even have my last month of school for sixth year. And so I didn't back myself to do medicine. And I wouldn't have had the points anyway. But I felt like, right.
You didn't back yourself, you said there?
Yeah, I didn't back myself to kind of go, I think I can do this. I didn't have the confidence. So I was like, I'll settle for going for occupational therapist. This is nothing on occupational therapist, that it's just that like the points were lower. It was the threshold that I had to reach to get to be a occupational therapist was far lower than being a doctor. So I was like, I'll do this. And so I went back, and then I got law, and I kind of was at the stage in my life where I was like, I tried, and I'll fucking do law. You know, I was like, it's a good degree. And I was like, in first year, I was like, I'm going to be a fucking litigator, and I'm going to fucking put people behind bars and all this kind of shit, right? But I really loved law. I love learning stuff. So like, I was the doofus in the first year of college, like training and like eating boiled eggs. and fucking studying from like the week, like freshers week. Everyone's getting pissed out of their skull, and there I am like, yes, I've got this assignment in 6 weeks, better just do it now. Do you know, like I was very just lived like a monk, really, you know, just trained. Like the first week, freshers week for me was go to the gym and register. Do you know what I mean? So that's the way my mind was working. And I think that was built as well through just going back and doing my leaving cert. So all these things I think added to who I was. And when I finished up law, I had kind of realized at that point that I was like, I don't really feel like, I thought I'd made a great solicitor, but I didn't want to, I didn't really want to chase that. And so I finished up college, got my degree. So in the last year of college, I actually dropped out. Because I had that, I fought in October of my college year against Paddy, and I got a severe concussion, really bad concussion. Like I had to go to the hospital twice for CT scans, and they were very afraid that I might have had a longer term brain injury from it, right? But I didn't, thankfully. It was just a really bad concussion. And I had headaches for 6 or 7 weeks afterwards, dizzy spells.
He must have hit you some dig.
Oh, he absolutely.
What did he hit you with?
Well, it was a combination of loads of things. Well, it was a straight right that actually knocked me out. But I was so dehydrated from cutting weight. Yeah, I never fucking could get it. So my brain was dehydrated.
Mm-hmm. So it's fucking rattling about inside your head.
Exactly, it actually shrank. So then when you get hit, it's like the egg yolk. You know the way they say, like, it's like rattling an egg. It's like the egg white was taken out, and it's just the yolk.
You had a wee Malteser in
so
there.
It's like a little fucking Malteser brain going mad. But basically, like, it was really bad concussion. And so I spent about 6 or 7 weeks kind of half in and out of college. And then about 3 weeks or 4 weeks after the fight, my girlfriend was like, I cheated on you, and I don't think we should be together anymore. I was like, class. So and she was together, we were together for 5 years. So we kind of grew up together. Huh?
Sound.
Yeah, sound.
She sounded
sound. It's like, this guy's fucking absolutely on his knees.
Yeah.
Let's give him
have a boot in
good...
the bollocks as well.
Exactly. So I wasn't in the best form, right? So I was a bit miffed. And so I kind of was like, look, I'm dropping out of college. I just didn't really feel like putting any effort in either, right? Which is so funny, right? This is another thing. So about a week after this, I went out and I had started to get into drinking because I never drank really during college and Thai box. I never really drank, but I started getting into drinking heavy. And I ended up breaking my arm on New Year's Eve. Arm wrestling. Oh, arm wrestling somebody in a bar on New Year's Eve. Broke my humerus, right? Ended up fucking like really bad break, and I had to go into hospital that night. Had to be fucking rushed.
You picked the wrong people to fuck around with, don't you?
Oh, it's just like a series of unfortunate events. You couldn't fucking write it, and I just at that point I was like sitting on the fucking couch every day, getting fatter, with a fucking broken arm, a broken heart, a broken head. Fucking everything was broken. And so I just thought, I'm fucking dropping out of college. I think my mom and dad were so afraid of my mental state at that time that they were just kind of going with it. They were just
Yeah.
like, okay, if that's what you want to do, kind of thing. So I spent about another fucking 4 weeks on the couch. And I just like, one day I was watching fucking bullshit fucking daytime television. And I just turned to my mum and I was like, would you drop me into college there? Because I actually think I'm going to go back. And so she was like, yeah, all right. And then for 2 months, spent about 15 hours a day catching up on all of the stuff I had missed, studying every fucking day. Like getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning, going into the library until 10. Then the library closes. Then the sub-library opens at 11 till 2 in the morning. Then that closes and going to CUH library, which is the hospital library where all the doctors go study. Stay there till 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, going home, going into bed for like 3 hours, 4 hours, doing the same thing again. And that was what I was doing. Because I was like, I have no way of catching up other than doing this.
You seriously did? You kept that work schedule
Every single
up?
fucking day. Every fucking day.
fucking
You're
insane.
only like 22.
Like,
you can survive on fucking 4 hours sleep when you're 22,
Yeah.
right? So you're just like, I could do this. Like fucking 19 monsters or fucking,
What was it you seen on the
monsters,
TV?
Red
Bulls.
Bulls.
Whatever that program was you
I think-
seen, I'm going to show out to my
I
son.
think it could have been Dr. Phil. It could have been Dr. Phil. And so I just fucking did that, and I ended up getting a really good degree at the end of it, really good result. And but I was like, I didn't want to do law. And I remember I was out drinking with my brother and my dad. I started smoking as well. Again, that was another thing that I just took up. I started smoking. We were out in the smoking area. I was out with my dad and my brother, and we were out having a cigarette and smoke and drinking pints. And a lad came over, like a man came over to us and asked, do we have a light? And he started chatting away to us and all this kind of stuff. And my dad had been out to the BMW garage about a year before. And he was like, I remember you from BMW or whatever. And then we started chatting, and we were just laughing and joking, and I was making him laugh and stuff like that. And so I came back in then to order a few pints for me and my brother, and he came over and he gave me his card. He was like, look, if you want to sell BMWs, I'd love to have a chat with you or whatever. So I ended up anyway going and interviewing and started working selling cars.
No way, you were a car salesman.
Car salesman.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I was one of them too in one stage. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. Oh man, fucking, that's talk about ultra endurance. That's a different type of fucking endurance altogether.
I know that game.
So I started selling cars, and I feel like, right, all of this stuff, if I think about it, I probably not know, because I'm working for yourself. You kind of get accustomed to making your own day in your own life, right? If I had started my own garage, I think I'd be happy out, right? But I feel like it had actually nothing to do with what I was doing. It was my mental state and my own idea about myself and who I was. That was the problem, not what I was doing. The external things don't actually necessarily matter most of the time. It's our view of ourselves and our view of and our perception of our lives that is actually way more important than the things we do. And that's why I suppose, like, now I'm like, let's say now I'm after starting running and becoming a runner to other people, like, right? And so I don't have that identity attachment to running. So that's why I'm not going absolutely out of my mind, because I'm 2 months out of running. Whereas if this was Thai boxing and I was 2 months out of Thai boxing, I'd have fucking just blown up. So I feel like the car sales, all of that stuff, like, I was doing everything as well to put fuel on the fire. Like, I was drinking 3 or 4 nights a week. I was just, just fucking self-destruction of all kinds, right? So I didn't really care about my body, my health, all of those things that I had kind of, like, so meticulously, like, boiled eggs, during school, like, everyone looking at you like, they're getting their fucking chips and curry in the canteen, and you're there like with the boiled eggs and it's in a tuna. And, so I had lost all of those elements, but I still had them. I just put them away. So I was like, when I wanted to be an athlete again, I just wanted to tap into those things again. Do you know what I mean? I just wanted to tap, like, how do we fucking become this guy again? So, so I feel like all of that time was necessary as well. Because, like, it taught me lots of lessons, like, it taught me just that, like, is, you know, you can go through some dark times, and you can go through all of these things, but it's like you have to have your own back. You know, you have to have your own back, and that's what I lost. You know what I mean? So
Sounds like you've learned how to be yourself without tying your identity to that thing you do. So you're no longer, you know, Conor, who's the Thai boxer. He's going to be the Irish champion. You're no longer, you know, whatever else that was coming up there. But then, well, who are you then?
This is the thing, I suppose. What's that? Oscar Wilde. You know, it's better to be a verb than a noun. So like, don't be a noun, don't be a thing, be, you know, be ever changing, be moving, be flexible. So I hope I'm not the same person in 5 years' time, and I hope, you know, I hope I'm not the same person next year. So that's kind of what I'm on now, is like, what can I do? Like, it's so weird. I was driving up here now today, and I was like, I got contacted by this expedition company about treks in Pakistan. I was like, fuck it, I could climb K2. And then I was like, fuck, I could climb K2. And then I could try and climb K2 with no oxygen. Do you know that? And that was what came into my head. Yeah. So I was like, I feel like what I am now is I am an opportunist. And I am hopeful. And that's the things that, like, if you're hopeful and you have the idea of grabbing opportunities, I think, and it's another thing that got into it today. It's like, what if I died on K2? I'd be like, well, you'd leave a great legacy. Do you know, like I was like, have the memories, have the legacy is what I feel like. And like, my legacy now is going through like my family as well, like, and my boy and all of these things. So it's like, you know, I don't want to be a thing. You know, I want to be a verb. I want to be acting and moving and shifting. And that's why it was great. Like, even last night when I was saying to you there before we got on air, like, I fucking hanging off the bars there last night, and I was doing all this calisthenics stuff, and I was like, you know, what came into my head was, when I'm finished the running crack, I'll give calisthenics a go with my fucking super orangutan arms, you know, completely not built for it. But just I'd go for it anyway and have an experience, have fun. That's what I'd say to anybody that's listening right now, is like, don't be worried about being shit at something, and don't be worried about like, oh my God, look at these people. They're so much farther ahead than I am. Just fucking give it a go, like, you know, and have fun with your life as best you can, you know.
Going back to that time, right, you're in the car garage. Was there a turning point? You know, there's always this point that something happened. Was there an event? What was going on that you kind of looked at yourself and goes, fuck, I'm not happy with this and I'm going to do something about it?
I had a quarterly review with the owner of the whole fucking shebang. Yeah. And I said, I think I'm actually going to leave. He's, okay. We were going through my sales figures here. I was like, look, I'm not in it anymore. Like, you know, I'd no fucking fire for it anymore. I'd really gotten down the tunnel of self-improvement and down the tunnel of being my own best friend and acting in that way. And like, I was like, if I was talking to me as my own best friend, I'd tell me to leave my job. Yeah. And I had I was trying to go for a mortgage at the time, right? And this is like my past life. Like, it's so funny, right? Like, exactly where I want to be right now is exactly where I could have bought a house in 2017. I have my own house now and it'd be grand. But it's just, I took a chance and I was like, I'm going to quit my job. I'm going to say, fuck the mortgage. All the money I had saved for the house, I'll just use for a time being. I bought some cars as well and sold them on. Yeah. So which gave me a bit more money to kind of just have that freedom to be who I am. And this is where I have to thank my parents as well, because like, I was staying in their house and they just gave me the fucking time and space to become who I was. So they gave me like a year and a half of just coming and going, cooking me dinners and doing all of this stuff. Just while I got a hold of who I was really starting to like feel like I was making, not that I was making progress to move to kind of like set up a new life. I was just starting to get to know myself again. And so, yeah, the turning point for me was like, I don't really want to go through another one of these quarterly reviews. And and it's nothing to do with car sales or selling or anything, because it gave me loads of skills, you know, to talk to people, to shape something, you know. Like, I feel like law and car sales and my fanaticism about hip hop has all combined into making me good at orating and talking and getting a message across.
How the fuck did you get hip hop into the middle of that shit?
Yeah, because I know about 500 or 600 songs off by heart, right?
Right,
so
okay.
so I'm able to.
Sean knows a few as well.
Yeah,
Have a little bit. You
you
start
know.
spitting shit here now at each other.
We've got a lot in common.
He's got spitting some bars here, you know.
Straight out of.
So we were doing this podcast, and then it just turned into a freestyle session for 3 hours. But so like, all of those things, they all help you and shape you. I was only talking about this on Instagram the last time. It's like all the shit you go through shapes you into who you are. You know what I mean? So, that was the turning point for me, and I left then, and then I was like, what do I do now? I had no idea. I had no idea how to, like, all I knew was I wanted to keep doing what I was doing, being in the outdoors, running, looking after my health, and sharing the story that you can turn your life around and you can actually be a better person to you and be a better person to others. Because during that time I was, I would have never cut myself as an asshole, but I definitely used people. I was allowing people to use me. I definitely didn't have the same empathy that I would have now, for others, for other people that I had come in contact with. And I definitely felt like I had needed to reconnect with who I really was, which is just a kind, good-willed person. And, I felt like that was the direction I wanted to go in. And I didn't think about the money side of things or how I was going to make this actually happen. Like I moved out of home, like I met my now wife, and within a week I was like, yeah, this is it. I was like, how do I get this person to like me to the point where I can move in with them and we can have babies and stuff.
The car sales really kicked in.
Car sales really kicked in. Show me. I'll just show you this one here. What you need is a 4-door.
Do you know what? That's quite interesting because that whole idea of like being nice and being kind, when we were coming over in the car, Sean was kind of asked, what's this guy like? And I said, genuinely, I think he is actually a nice guy. Not the way some people put on this, like, they're fucking just too nice. And you're like, don't know about that. But what did I say? I was like, no, I think he genuinely is just a really nice person.
What he really said was, I think they cast me as the bad guy in that fucking show, right? And I wanted to get you here so that I could ask. He looked like a real bastard in that show, didn't he? Like, now, did they do that purposely, or was he just a bastard on that show?
I honestly, I didn't even notice. I didn't even notice how anybody was. I suppose Jay was more vocal than others, but I feel like that's coming from his background. I think leads him in that way. And we talked about this on the podcast, like, you know what I mean. Yeah. And I feel like that's what they were looking to do, was find out who you really are, and they're experts at it. Mm-hmm. So they just wanted to find out what type of personality you are, and so like. You can, like, even let's say in car sales, in the sales background, right? There's a specific type of personality that's going to do really well in that, and I'm not saying this to be bad, but it is the people that are actually okay with fucking people over, and are okay with their own gain going ahead of somebody else's, the outcome for somebody else, and that was something I was never comfortable with, just like, selling cars, and then after they've been sold, the car goes shit or whatever, and then it's like,
not my fault.
Just pawning them off to other people of the thing and taking no responsibility. And I suppose that's where it just didn't go with who I was, but then like if you're talking about on the show, like your ability to take, to take charge and to direct perfectly suits your job. And what you do every day with people. So that's what they're trying to figure out is, also, is this person malleable? Can they shift and use the same strengths in different ways? And I think that's what they tried with me, was this guy's very vocal and he's fucking saying a lot of stuff, but he's trying to help people and he's doing good, but can he do it in a different way? And that's what they tried to test then in that way,
Right.
Yeah, I think as well within those environments, as you're saying, it's like every environment or every type of job or every role needs different skill sets. Mm-hmm. And one skill set could be a real strength in one area and really let you down in another area, which is interesting.
You were too nice for car sales.
Absolutely. Absolutely. See, I sold cars because I was so nice. Like I when I was in Mini, right, I was dealing with like I was what 23, 22, 23, 24 was the years that I was selling Minis, like, and I was dealing with a lot of like women in their 30s and 40s and stuff, and she's like flirting away and having a nice chat with them and like spending a bit of extra time with this person and listening to their woes, and should they buy the car? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're getting the sale because it's like you're not buying the car, you're buying me, and you're buying how I'm making you feel. Yeah. And so that's so it lent itself good in some ways, and then in other ways I was kind of like, you know, this person wants to buy this car, and I know this car has fucking, you know what I'm saying?
I know the history of this thing.
You know, I know the history of this car.
It's got a wonky wheel.
Exactly, yeah, exactly, yeah. It's got fucking, basically, we won't go into any specific stories, but just like, yeah, that type of stuff kind of just was like, like if let's say we had a problem with a car, and the problem persisted, you know now, Sean, right? You never take the car back, but sometimes, the fucking rare occasion, it's just gotten to that point where even the manufacturer can't do shit about it, and then it goes back, and then you put it back in stock. You know?
Did you ever do that shot?
I'm like,
No.
I'm like, you know, and then someone's going to look at it and I'm like, do you know what? This
really
one
good.
here is good. No, I like the colour of that one. I'll wrap this one for you.
Do you know what was the worst? When you had, you know, the PCPs, the personal contract hires.
Yeah.
And then you would know which salesman had sold that car, because when they came back 3 years later and it's like, but that guy told me it was going to be worth this much. And you're like, how the fuck was this ever going to stack up?
PCP, boy.
Oh,
those 3 letters make me shudder.
Oh.
I call it, just trying to take people out of cars, like, and they're
welded into them.
backwards. And
Yeah,
absolutely.
You can't get them out. And then
Yeah.
you used to go, I know who fucking sold you that.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
So
that guy
this
lost
guy-
his job. By the time we found out, there was about fucking 30 of these fires to put out, you know?
It's the guy, do you know the guy? He's wearing pants. You can count the change in his pocket. It's so tight, and he's wearing the fucking shiny shoes, and he walks just a little bit too fast. That's the fucking guys you have to watch out for in the car sales game.
He walks very fast.
Fucking Fiend is like
What do you say?
floating,
You said I was that guy.
floating across the fucking dealership. See, his fucking feet even moving. You know, that's the fucking type of guy you just have to watch him. If he's got a great watch, forget about it.
Talk to us then for a second. So what I'm kind of hearing here, that there was a little bit of a conflict between probably your values as a person and then kind of the identity, how you see yourself and kind of what you were doing back then.
Yeah, I talk. Go on. Sorry.
No, go on.
You keep
Hit it.
going. I suppose values, when we were just touching there, I talk about that with clients an awful lot. Is like, we set goals, right? And then we go, all right, okay, those are the goals, and we let's say go through the normal processes of the goals, testing the goal, right? Seeing like how strong the foundations of this goal are. Is this something that this person is kind of aspiring to, or is there something actually that this person feels they can attain, right? Which is 2 different things. And then we after we do that, we talk through values coaching. So we try and identify their values. What do you value? I value health. I value family. I value all this kind of stuff. Okay, you value health and family and all this, but your goal is to earn another 100 grand this year. Your goal is to get promoted in work. Where does health, where does family come in there? Right? That's where you can, at the very beginning of a goal, when that person gets to the end of that goal, they're going to feel nothing. They're going to feel nothing. They're not going to feel accomplished. They're not going to feel like they have any meaning or purpose within that goal. It's just not going to make any sense for them. So just on that point there of the values sound like this airy-fairy up in the fucking air shit, but values fucking matter when it comes to what you want to do and what you want to achieve. It's huge. So yeah, it's like definitely my values and what I was doing were, at variance with each other.
Well, I think a lot of people, they have like aspirational values. I want to be this type of person. But actually, when you look at their behavior and the priorities on a day-to-day basis, they're not fucking doing any of it. And I think that within that space is where the conflict lies. And it's probably trying to smooth that out. But this idea of identity, right? I want to talk about that for a little second. It's like, so many people attach themselves to what they do. I am a salesman. I am a fireman. I am a policeman or woman or whatever the case may be. And what you were kind of saying there, there's a kind of detachment from what you do day to day necessarily and who you are. So talk to me on that for a second.
Yeah, I feel like it's all about how I react to when I don't do it, right? Or when I'm not in that sphere. I feel like if you can go, if you can kind of allow yourself to have different parts of your life without the other part of your life always being there, right? So what I mean by that is, like I as a coach, I'm trying to help people with the idea of maturity in running, right? And maturity in running is it's a microcosm for maturity in life, right? And this is where the idea of patience and all of these aspects, right? Where, like, if you're talking about like Eastern philosophy, right? You're talking about Zen Buddhism and Taoism and all these things, like the idea of temperance,
Impermanence.
and patience, and yes, and like flexibility.
Yep.
Right? Impermanence is perfect, right? That is very much not in the Western philosophy. The Western philosophy is the capitalist philosophy. There's no problem with making money. I need to make money. We all need to make money. Money makes the world go round, but in the Western society, and it's only getting worse because everything is so instantaneous these days, is there's just no patience. And I see it unraveling, and people don't see it happening, but lots of people that I follow, they end up having the same things happen in a cyclical way, and they don't even notice it themselves. And that's the same as me. Remember I was saying to you before we got on air, I had this injury. It would come back. I'd take 2 weeks, 10 days sometimes to kind of solve this issue, be okay for 2 months, and then boom, blow up again. And it was in that cycle, right? And I was like, right, definition of insanity, like, doing the same thing again, expecting different results. But so when I'm talking about, let's say, identity and the idea of maturity is where I feel like identity, because it's okay to go, yeah, I am a runner or I am this and that, but where identity takes the shift is, do you still feel valuable when you're not doing what you want to do? Do you still feel purposeful in what you're doing without being in the sphere that you are in? Let's say you're a boxer, a weightlifter, CrossFit, you're a cyclist, you're a runner, you're a salesperson, you're a guard, you're whatever. If you don't feel like there's that, you feel like your life is meaningful, or you feel like you're having an impact, or that you just, you're a worthwhile person without being in that sphere. That's where identity can become an issue, because that's where I was with Thai boxing and where I'm not with running. I still feel like I have a lot of value as a person, and a lot of value to me, a lot of value to my family and to the people that I come in contact with without being a runner, right? Absolutely would love to be running right now. You know what I mean? I'd love to be fit enough to be running right now. But it's just this idea of the maturity. And like, I have lots of clients, stuff like that, they might pick up niggles and all this kind of stuff. And they go, my foot's been at me now the last 2 runs. And I tell them, like, look, maybe we could settle down now a bit, take a few days off. Maybe you get your physio to have a look at it. And then maybe the next day, it's like, what if I got on the bike? What if I swam? I was like, oh, yeah, we could do that or whatever. Just trying to find, and I like that they're trying to find solutions. But I feel like, I'm like, don't get into the danger territory of where our lives fall apart if this thing is taken from us. You know what I'm saying? Because it can be taken in an instant.
Yeah.
I was nearly fucking blown off the road by a truck there the other day, and like literally about half a foot away from colliding with this truck. It took the exit at the last second, crossed the white lines, nearly hit the barrier, and I had to swerve off the fucking road to avoid it. And I was like, just like that, could have happened. Dead. So it can be taken from you at any time. So you have to be prepared that, or not that you have to be prepared that it's taken away. You just have to know it's a privilege.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot what you said there. And one of the things I'm latching on to is, like, it sounds like you feel that society and people in general are in such a fucking hurry. And I've seen that in some of your videos. Just looking at it, you're like, look, life is a marathon here. This isn't a sprint. Chill the fuck out.
Yeah. Like, this is the thing. Like, and I within the fitness sphere, you see this a lot of the 6 week this, 8 week that. And I like, thing is, you like, that sells, right? Because no one wants to hear, you imagine now someone coming on here like, hey, do you want to change your life? It'll take 2 to 4 years. Do you know what I'm saying? No
Or
one.
forever. Forever.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, do you want to fucking change the way you move and the way you blah, blah, your relationship with food? It'll take 6 years. You come, you're jumping on board with me. Do you know what I mean? So I understand why it is, but I feel like, what happens at the end?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what happens at the end? Have you grown? Have you learned something? Have you, is there, what has happened? Because you're probably going to go back and do another 8-week challenge to start next year. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to save people from the pitfalls that I have had. Do you know what I mean? The pitfalls that I've had of like expecting things to move forward. There are people that I know.
Go on, name them. Name them.
There are people that I know that are very close to me and that have tried a million times to do a particular thing. But when they try, they'll give it a couple of weeks. And I feel like, okay, right, your life is not in 6 or 8 week blocks. Your life is your life. And like, how do you want to live? And you just said that there. So it's like, and this is a question I actually ask clients all the time, especially if they don't really know a solid goal of where they want to be. Is like, who's the person you want to be? Explain that person to me. Describe them to me. What traits do they have? And a lot of the times people actually want, the things they want and the things that they do don't match. Mm-hmm. The way that they act, their intentions and actions don't match. And that's actually when we can have the most internal conflict. Is when what we want to do, our intention for ourselves doesn't match what we do. So it's like, just break it out simply in the fitness side of things. It's like someone wants to lose weight, but they eat a tub of Ben & Jerry's at night. Their intention is, I want to be healthy. I want to be fit for me, for my family. But their action is, I'm just going to give in and I'm going to allow this to happen, right? But where I think the external world doesn't help those people is they go, oh, you're eating a tub of Ben & Jerry's. You need boiled fucking chicken and green vegetables. Instead of going,
here's a food plan.
Instead of going, what if you had half the tub? And then we'll try that for a few weeks. And then maybe we go, all right, is there a different option that we could try that might be better for, our intention, for our goal, for where we want to be? Yeah, I could probably swap the half a fucking bowl of ice cream for bit of ice cream and jelly, because that's fucking lower calories or whatever. And try that for a couple of weeks. And then start to build the intention into the action, right? And so that's where I feel like it's like, oh, you want fucking results? I can get it for you in 6 weeks, but you have to swap your Ben & Jerry's for fucking boiled fish, right? and so that, yeah, we can do that for 6 weeks. And we go, how do you feel? Let's take some pictures here. And then it's like, you fucking, it's like, okay, I want to see that person in another 6 weeks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and it's not even just like, I want to see that person in another 6 weeks, they're going to get so much fatter. It's, I want to see that person in another 6 weeks. They're probably going to have a lot of guilt and a lot of shame because they've went back and they've done the exact same things that they did before. Because they never grew, they never learned anything, because they're handheld for the whole time. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's where
that's a much more mature look and approach that you're describing there. Do you know? Like, I mean, when I started as a personal trainer, I thought, I thought exactly like that. I was like, that's what you should just fucking eat. Why can't you just fucking eat that and train 3 times? And then when you start to get a bit older and, I'm like over 40, right? I've got a couple of kids, then you go, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, I mean, if you were in a car sales environment, did you ever pull out a salad with chicken and stuff in it in the car sales room and they can have to see the looks you get?
Absolutely.
And there are lads out there thinking that they're going to tell people at that sort of speed in their life, like, get your food out and start weighing it and count your macros, bro.
Yeah.
It's like, there's no car salesman in a fucking suit going to pull out like chicken breast, start weighing it and cooking it in a George Foreman. Yeah. That's not fucking happening.
They're going down to the local deli and they're lumping everything into a roll. But this is the thing as well, is like the rush that we're in.
Yeah, and it's back that as well, isn't it?
The rush that we're in doesn't actually allow us to be the people that we want to be. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, and then this is probably another thing that I've been given pause for thought without running is the last 2 months is kind of giving me the idea that good things take time, and yeah, you could like this is the thing. You'll work fucking day and night to become an overnight success. You'll work fucking 10 hours a day for months and months and years to become an overnight success. Everyone's going to be like, well, Jesus Christ, he's blowing up. But you know what I mean? It's that, and that's the thing is they'll only see the blow up. They won't see, you know, the other side, because that's not sexy and it doesn't sell, you know what I mean?
Talk to me a second. So we when we were kind of off air there, we were talking about type A personalities, and we latch onto something. It's like, you know, there's a mountain over there. Fuck, I want to climb it. Oh, fuck, there's another mountain behind. I want to climb that. For yourself, how, and then obviously you've got your family, you've got work, you've got all these things that we're trying to chase after. And it's like, I think on a personal level, and I think I know a lot of people would kind of have similar thoughts, like, who is it all for? Why am I doing this? For yourself, especially when you're looking at ultras and the time and the energy that you put into it. Talk to me about that for a second.
Let's say the motivations behind them, is it? I suppose, like, at the very beginning, I really liked the idea that people thought I was a tough guy. You know what I mean? Like, because fighting kind of led itself to that side of things as well. Was, oh, Conor, he's a fucking good fighter and all this kind of stuff. He's a tough nut and he takes any fight and all this kind of shit that like feeds the ego, right? And so that was what was happening when I was running as well, you know. It was like, oh Jesus, I can run 100 miles and all this kind of stuff, and people thought that was really cool, and I thought I was interesting and all this kind of stuff. And I didn't realize until kind of like about a year and a half into my journey through running, where I was like, why are we actually doing it? You know, why are we actually here? And I'd realized that, like, through my journey in running, I had just replaced Thai boxing. Yeah. And I had not actually become a different person. And I had no better internal dialogue with myself. I never, you know, I was the same person. I hadn't grown. I hadn't moved. I hadn't shifted. I hadn't had any shifts in mindset. I hadn't done anything like that. I just was portraying the same guy over and over and over again. And so to anybody else, maybe, like, you know, no one really probably thinks about the motivations of this guy and what he does or whatever. But it probably didn't really change from the outside looking in. Everyone just thought he's running or whatever, right? But from the inside, I was like, I want to just do things that bring something to me, you know, and that's and bring me fodder for growth. That's why I'm like, I don't want to be a runner forever, right? I want to run, but I want to run in a way that is, and this is why I'm off running now, is I want to run in a way that is looking at decades, not months. So I want to run all the time, but I want to explore different parts of my abilities, you know, going forward, right? So for me, it is just the encapsulation of the idea of living the best life that I can. And living the best life that I can, to me, is just testing the boundaries. I always just enjoyed. I remember fucking sitting at the kitchen table. There's no wonder why I kind of went down this path, sitting at the kitchen table. My dad was a soldier. Like, he'd be telling me all about the lads in the special forces and all the boys, like, you know, jumping out of fucking planes with oxygen masks on and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, yeah, Dad, yeah, I want to do all of those things. So I just fucking grew up thinking doing these cool shit was a great way to spend a life. But what I realized was, yes, it's a great way to spend a life if you have the ability to not do any of those things and still have a great life.
Yeah, that makes
a lot of sense. Can I ask you, there's a couple of times here you've described this period in your life where the word I've written down here is you were kind of rudderless and you were searching for something. And then you said there, when you were running, you asked yourself this question: what the fuck am I doing this for? If somebody finds himself in that kind of a position where they're rudderless, what are the questions you think you asked yourself where you give yourself that bit of direction you needed?
Take yourself out, right, for a second, right? So this is we're going to go visual here now, right, for this. But let's say when we've specifically went down to something, right? We've decided running, and then within running, we want to run a marathon. Within the marathon, we want to run 3 hours, right? So we're funneling down all the time our goal and our idea of things, right? Let's say we're looking at it like this, right? And I'm cupping my hands really closely together here over the table, right? And people kind of don't know why they're here. What we need to do is reverse that. So we need to bring it out and bring our let's say our vision wider. And so you can do that a number of ways. I do this with clients and stuff. And that is that question of, like, who is the person you want to be, right? It's perfect question to bring focus out. So you're broadening the light, you're twisting the head torch, right? And instead of having a really thin beam, you're having a wide beam, right? And you're looking at it over, right? It's like, and you're. This is the thing where the idea of who you want to be and the values you have, informing what you do. So if you're finding that you're, let's say, in a place where you're like, I fucking don't know why I'm doing this anymore. Well, let's say it's work, or let's say it's the type of exercise that you're doing, or it's, the people you're hanging out with, or it's let's say there's some negative behaviors that are recurring over and over again. Asking yourself these types of questions can give you that wide focus. And when you get the wide focus, so who do I want to be? I want to be a man who follows. This is a perfect example. So many people say this. I want to follow through on what I say, right? Fucking, that's like our intentions and actions matching, right? I want to fucking do what I say I'll do. Brilliant. So you want to have integrity. You want to have authenticity. You want to have accountability. All of those things are things that you want to have, right? How do we bring those into your life? So you're bringing your beam and you're going, how do we bring that into our lives? Okay, well, I'm going to try something new, right? And I'm going to tell everybody that I'm going to fucking try something new, and I'm going to follow through, and I'm going to book my first whatever. Let's say it's, I'm going to buy a bike, or I'm going to join this club, right? Because I'm hanging out with the same people doing the same things all the time. They don't have the interest in doing the shit that I want to do. I'll join this club. And then we start to realize that we're actually making action happen through intention. So many times we do it the other way around, and we feel like we should be doing this or should be doing that. We should be earning this money. We should be doing, going to the pub and watching the game with the boys. When we feel like, why the fuck am I here? Why am I doing this? Because we haven't asked ourselves the right questions of who you want to be and what you want to do. So that's what I would say is, like, if you're in that fucking really fucking microscopic fucking thing of like, my beam is so focused on this one particular thing, but I'm very, very much struggling to know why I'm doing this. It could bring you back to the same thing like it did with me. I was running. I was like, why am I doing this? Throwing open the beam and searching around the place, and it led me back into it. But I now knew why I was doing it. And I talked about this on a post I put up yesterday. When you do things with intention, it doesn't matter what happens. You can fail. You'll have setbacks. You'll fall down 1,000 times. You'll get up 1,001. Do you know what I mean? That's just if you have an intention and you set it and you go for it. And that's what I want to teach my son as well. It's like, just fucking don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it. If you feel like this is exactly where you want to go, fucking figure out how you want to do it. And that's what I want to help him do. So
that's cool.
See that idea of ego and fear. I think ego's very like, I'm going to prove these people wrong. I'm going to be this type of person. How did you transition from that being fueled? I'm in fighting. I'm fucking rugby shit. I'm shit at rugby. Fuck. I'm going to get in, punch the head off people. I'm going to be world champion. Oh, fuck. That didn't really work out. I'm into running now. I'm going to fucking run 100 miles. And you kind of said it's ego. And how did you move from that being, all right, I'm being fueled by this ego, or my motivation is to prove or to look cool, to this kind of space now where, I don't know, there's something different going on there, isn't there?
You first become aware of it.
Yeah.
All right. Because if you don't actually know that you're doing these things to fuel your ego, you'll just continue to do it. Do you know what I mean? So I first had to become aware that I was actually in this cycle of replacing things and external validation over and over again. And once I realized that, I was like, it was like a fucking, oh shit, we're heading for another car crash type idea, right? So so when I realized that I was kind of just I was feeding this ego over and over again with these external validations. I was like, right, first of all, we have to be honest. So this is a thing where, like, from the outside looking in, it'll be the same. Everybody will see the same. But you have to be honest with yourself as to why you're doing these things. And you also have to be honest then, when you can, with others. And so, like my mother asked me the other week, she was like, do you allow yourself to to feel accomplished? Right. My mother's a psychotherapist, right? So she's
It's a big question,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I was about to say, that's a
So
fucking good question.
she can be very deep at times. And she goes, do you allow yourself to feel accomplished? And I was like, I feel accomplished every day, but that doesn't mean I have to tell everybody about it. And that was the difference. I was like, I feel like if you can feel personal, internal accomplishment from doing anything, that's when you'll start to let go of the ego. That always, and lads, let's not fucking fool ourselves here. Like, there's always a little bit of ego, because you're as well. Like, even in the sphere that I'm in, you know, you could say I have a personal brand, and I'm not going to lie to people and say that I'm not doing things to help me further my career, to help me further things. Absolutely, I am, because that's you know, it's all part of it. Exactly, right? So I'm not going to lie here and go, I just do this because I'm a Zen monk and I fucking, you know, I sit in silence for 4 hours a day. It's not that. It's just that at the end of the day, it doesn't actually necessarily matter what happens on the outside as long as the inside with me is good, and I'm okay with that. So like, people can fucking comment underneath my stuff and give me shit, or like I can put something up and be like, Jesus, this is really an interesting piece of content, and it goes fucking like absolutely super shit, and all of that stuff happens, and I'm kind of like,
yeah,
it doesn't matter. It's like my internal self and dialogue is tight, and that's where I want to be, you know. And that's when you know you've lost the ego, because if the ego is too strong, you won't be able to take rejection or failure or setbacks. Because they directly fucking interfere with the idea you have about yourself and the ego you have attached to yourself as well, you know?
It's kind of what's coming to mind here, that I can imagine a lot of people are running away from things, like literally running away from things. And it's kind of sounding like what you've done is flip that, and now you're running towards something. This
Absolutely.
new version of yourself. Or
I like to say that it's like a physical representation of my, let's say, the internal growth, where I'm like, I just want to see what I can do for me, you know, and also share it with others. And by sharing it with others and by putting it out there, it enables me to do more of the stuff that I like. So that's where I'm at. I'm like, I have to promote myself, and I have to have a personal brand, and I have to have this, and it's an enjoyable part of it too, sharing stories and sharing bits and pieces with people, and having a fucking thought and just pulling out the phone and going, fucking yeah, just get it out there and share it with people. But you have to, at the end of it, you kind of have to have your own idea of who you are, and not let that be affected by what happens on the outside. Certain people, like, I put up funny shit sometimes on my Instagram that has nothing to do with mindset coaching or ultra coaching or any of this type of stuff. And I've been asked twice by 2 different people. I was like, do you ever feel like, you know, you shouldn't do that type of stuff because it kind of affects your personal brand? I'm like, if people don't want to get down with that type of thing, like if people just actually just having a laugh, then I'm like, you know, I made this reel, right? This is funny. This is another thing where you have to have your own 2 feet on the ground. So I had this, I made this fucking reel. It was already a reel. I just remixed it, right? And one of them was, new challenge, go for a walk every time you feel horny, right? Was the first half of it. And then it goes to me, and it's Forrest Gump, and he's like, I was running for 3 years, 4 months, and blah, blah. And it's me running down a mountain. And this woman goes, not what I'd expect from a mindset coach, unfollowed, right? And I was just like, what do you want a mindset coach to be like? Just go, yes, well, let's talk about mindset for an hour, yeah, whatever. Do you want to just get down on the floor and start doing press-ups while we're talking? Do you know, like, it's not that serious. Like, I talked to you about the mindset thing of like the 168 hours a week. You know, you can't have this fucking fully dialed in head 168 hours a week. You just fucking, you tire yourself out and everyone else around you. Do you know what I mean? So it's yeah, like I suppose I don't know where we went from the question. We just fucking went round and around, you know.
No, that's cool. Tell us this though, right? So a lot of people that are going to be watching this are kind of either new within the fitness industry, they're kind of standing on the edge where they might be wanting to kind of dip their toe in. For anybody who's looking to change, and this might bring into the kind of mindset coaching, for anybody who's looking to change, they're kind of sitting on the fence. As you said, you're sitting there in a job, you're like, fuck, I hate this. Something simple in order to get some momentum and get movement. What would you suggest?
I actually, when I was talking with my last podcast guest, Christopher Connolly, Get Better
Yeah.
with Chris, you come
He
across
done
him?
our course.
Yeah. He's a great guy,
Yeah.
right? And I was talking to him, and a lot of the things that he was talking about was what a lot of people go through is they're stuck in their own vacuum. They're stuck in their own mind and their own loop. And when you're the only person giving you feedback, you can tell yourself a story that can be untrue. And you can reinforce that story within your own mind. So I always say to people, like, right, if you have an idea or if you have something that you'd like to work towards, talk to someone about it, right? Then if you're talking, then there's levels to this, right? So you talk to someone about what you're thinking of doing. Let's say a person who wants to do the course, right? They're very interested in fitness. They're caught in this office job, has them sitting down for all day, doesn't like it, whatever, wants to do something that you're doing, right? You tell that to someone first and foremost, right? And then you get your feedback outside of your own head. And then when you have that, and then you can find a person that, if let's say you wanted to go down it, you can find someone that we call in the coaching industry an accountability partner, right? So find yourself an accountability partner. Better not to be your wife or your husband or your mother or your father, someone that's outside of, let's say, the immediate family, someone you maybe know but don't know super well, right? And you can actually make an agreement with that person that you can help keep them accountable to what they're doing as well, right? It's a really, really interesting thing. And so you can find somebody and you go, right, I want to start this course with the lads. I want to become a personal trainer. I don't want to I don't want to be in cybersecurity anymore. I want to do this. And you're telling that person, right? And you go, I would love if we could have some sort of an accountability partnership, right? Is there anything you'd like to work towards that I can help you with? It's like, oh yeah, geez, I actually want to get fit. Well, bang, there's your perfect match, right? It doesn't always happen like that. But it's like, I want to see more of the world. I'd love to book a trip and I'd love to see more of the world. Right, bang, okay. Then you have that kind of dialogue with someone else. This is one of a number of ways that you can start doing these things, right? But then you have an open dialogue with somebody else that's outside of your own head that enables you to have a second set of eyes on what you're thinking about or what you're doing, right? And so this person then checks in with you. Did you book that course? No, I didn't. When do you think you want to book it? These kind of questions then come in. It's like the open-ended questions are the best, right? If you're talking with your accountability partner and you're trying to keep them accountable, it's like when, how, where, and then it's like, when would you like to do it? I'd like to do it on this day. And then a fucking great question here for anybody that wants to kind of get into, even just if they were in the fitness industry already and they want to talk to clients, is commitment, right? Ask about how much commitment you have. And this is something that you could probably use in car sales as well, is how committed are you to taking this action, to doing this thing? Out of 10, could you rate it for me? As long as you get a 7+, you're pretty good, right? So if someone says, I'm a 7. Someone says a 10, you go, all right. So there's absolutely nothing, zero, zilch. You get fucking diagnosed with an incurable disease today, you're still going to book that course. That's that 10 out of 10 commitment. And then you get people to kind of really question about it. Or you get the action of, yeah, I am going to fucking follow through and I'm going to do it, right? So that's one way that I could say to people, that is, find someone outside of the vacuum of your own mind. And we all know the person that we would probably go to, right? That are probably on the same wavelength as us. They are doing something that's similar to us. Let's say you're in the office job and you're in a CrossFit class. Fucking pick someone in the CrossFit class or whatever it is, right? And just get that second set of eyes on it and then follow through from that. And then once you kind of make the road, this is what I was talking to you guys on air, right? I was talking to a client of mine and they were, saying to me, like, when I took on mindset client coaching, I thought you would talk to me about how to have a better mindset. And instead it was asking loads of questions, like peppering people with questions to get to their mindset and where they could make those shifts. And it was the last 4 minutes of our last session. And I was like, is there anything you want to ask? Or, taking my coach hat off here, like, what you want? And he said that to me. And I said, well, like your mindset is far better than mine for your life, right? Mm-hmm. So I can't give you my mindset. But what I will say is, and this is what I say to anybody is, like anybody that's feeling maybe stuck or whatever, is there's 168 hours a week. And I enact let's say a strong mindset, 70 minutes a week. 70 minutes a week, 5 minutes at one part of my day and 5 minutes at another part of my day. And what I call them is mindset crossroads. You probably have 2, maybe you'll have 3 in a day. You might only have 1, right? But a lot of the times it's surrounding your morning routine. You'll have a mindset crossroads at that time, or a time when you finish work, right? There's probably one of the 2 of those times where you'll have a mindset crossroads. And that is where you'll have a crossroads of doing your intention of what you want to do. I want to be fitter. I want to be, looking after my health, all this kind of stuff. And then there's the other side, where is the easier way out. And that's usually kind of feeding into our animalistic brain, pleasure, right? Pleasure seeking. So you're either going to scroll on Instagram in the morning instead of doing the thing you want to do, or you're going to eat a shitty breakfast instead of doing something, or you're going to do something, just that's easier, right? Or you're just going to pick up a coffee on the way to work and you skip breakfast or whatever, right? So that's one mindset crossroads. And if you can just enact that fucking mindset for that 5-minute period, because as soon as you're up out of the bed and as soon as you're on the way to the spinning class, or as soon as you're have the fucking runners on, you're about to go for a run, or once you grab the dog lead, put it on the dog and head out the door, you don't need to have that. You don't have to walk in the dog, fucking, killer mindset. I'm going to fucking, whatever, right? Someone jumps out the bushes at me now, they're getting fucked up, right? So no, you don't have to, no one has to, you don't have to have it 24/7. And then let's say on the other side of it, you come home and there's the other element. Let's say you didn't run in the morning. Let's say you have a really early rise to get to work. You have to be in work for 6 o'clock. So you go to work at 6 and you're finished earlier in the day or whatever, right? Or you're finished at 6 o'clock. And there is that fucking thing of, this is the fucking ultimate fucking thing that I have said to myself a billion times was, fucking very tired from work now. I think I'll skip that, right? It's the biggest fucking lie you can ever tell yourself, right? And I'm not saying to work yourself into the ground, but I would say try not to leave yourself off the hook, right? So if you can enact that mindset for 5 minutes again, and just, when you do that, you do things that enable you have to help yourself out. You can't just expect you to do everything. So like, basic thing was, right, okay, I want to go running after work. What do you do to help you out? Bring my fucking gear with me, and I have it all packed and ready. I have my socks inside my shoes. I have my fucking t-shirt, my head torch, my t-shirt. Everything is there. I've no fucking, I get home, I come in, I sit down, I fucking think about, where the fuck are my shoes? Where are my fucking shorts? Are they clean? There's none of that. You help yourself out by taking action. And that could be the first mindset crossroads in the morning, is getting the gear together instead of fucking just going, get a coffee and fuck off out the door, right? Which we've all done. But if we can enact that mindset, and this is, I help people in, let's say, the mindset coach, and I help people identify their crossroads. And how you do that is, and this is, you can all do it, this is the free session here for everybody, right? Is do a walkthrough. So do a walkthrough of your day. So do a walkthrough of your typical day, and then walkthrough of your ideal day. See how they match up, right? And then your ideal day. What's your ideal day? Oh, my ideal day is get up a bit earlier. Get up an hour earlier. Get my runners on. Go out for 40 minutes. Come back home. Have time to have a shower. And I get myself ready, and I do my my routine. I shave, moisturize my face. I get up, I make myself a nice coffee, and then I get out the door. I have a bit of breakfast, and I get out the door. Okay, great. What's the typical day that you've been feeling right now? Is I usually hear the alarm go off, I flick it off, I fucking do, I just turn back over. I set it for 8 o'clock, and I just fucking turn back over. I get up, fucking quickly shower, get the fuck out. I might grab a slice of toast and a coffee, and I head out the door. Right? So those 2 days are completely different, right? So if we just have that 5 minutes where you make the decision to kind of go, right, I'm going to get up. Once you're out of the bed, you're on autopilot then, So outside of that 70 minutes, we're usually on autopilot. Once we get out the door and start running, it's not like we have to be enact that mindset in every running step. You know what I mean?
That makes a lot of sense. So tell me this, my man, all right? Because I'm now just looking at the clock here. People want to know more about you. They want to find out a little bit about what you're doing, what's coming up. Where's the best place to connect?
Instagram is the HQ, right? So Instagram has kind of links to the podcast and stuff like that there. So a podcast called Flip the Script, and it's recorded here in Primal Production Studios with Dan. So there's 3 seasons. It's about 100 episodes now at the moment. And there will be a season 4 be coming out soon. And if you do want to get in contact with me for either ultra endurance coaching or mindset coaching, you click the link in the bio, and there's a link there for an intro call, 15-minute intro call. It's completely free. It's just kind of give ourselves an idea of whether we would work together or if we'd make a good partnership, basically, right? So people that want to get in contact, those are the best ways.
Lovely.
Amazing. So lads, that's it done. Tell us this, all right? Straight out of Compton, will we lay down a few beats on it?
Is that your view?
Can you go with it? Do you know the words?
Straight out of Compton, crazy motherfucking name, Ice Cube, from the gang called With an Attitude. When I called off, I got a sawed off, squeeze the trigger, and bodies all hauled off. You too, boy, if you fuck with me, the police are gonna have to come and get me on your ass. That's how I'm going out. For the punk motherfuckers that's showing out. Wanna rumble. Mix them and cook them in a pot like gumbo. Going off on a motherfucker like that. With a cat that's pointed at your ass. You better give it up smooth. Ain't going tell him when I'm down for a jack move.
The boys know their stuff. We'll get the contracts out. Yes.
Daily.